Everything is awesome. Nickelback is awesome.
Nickelback is
for
in
those
there.
joining us.
I gotta
Don't
say,
hate on a band you sing to all the time.
yeah,
But give those guys some credit. Even
Yeah.
if don't hate them. Actively hating a band.
no, yeah, right. They're still making money. They're doing the thing. Because there's
No,
so
I
many
appreciate
aspects of this stuff. We just did Barry Cats. It dropped today as we're doing
Yes,
this,
we're
right?
recording this the day Barry Cats dropped.
Right.
Go listen to it. Spotify, Apple Podcasts,
Yeah.
wherever you listen.
But that
YouTube.
process, you know, you get this major celebrity, a guy who is a legend to us, you know, not to get into the weeds with people about it, but like you reach out and then you talk to their people, and we don't have people. We're the people. So you got to pretend, though, we're the fucking people. You got to pretend, though, that, you know what you're doing. And I think we do know what we're doing.
I think it's enough to feel I'm genuinely into it.
Yeah.
And I think that's something people can feel.
Yeah.
It's, you know, I feel like when you meet somebody, if they're half into it, you can feel they're half into it.
Yeah.
They're there, but they're half into it.
Yeah.
But I also feel like there are people who are like, man, you're so passionate about coins. Or you're so passionate about this thing that I'm not.
Yeah.
But I want to be you about this
Yeah.
thing because you're so into it.
Yeah.
And I think we kind of nerd out and geek out about the comedy stuff.
Yeah.
And Barry was a very nice guy, super awesome with his time
Right.
and his ability to kind of just, you know, give us a little bit of that advice.
Yeah.
But I also felt there was a part of him, he's like, you guys really want to do it.
Yeah, you get it.
Yeah.
Well, also, you know, there's that camaraderie amongst comics, and he started out as a comic. He's been around comics forever, and you get in a tiny little room with somebody, and yeah, I mean, kudos to us for not, you know, we hung.
I thought we did a great
All
job.
good.
I thought the podcast went well.
Yeah.
You know, there was no afterwards. He wasn't like, I'm fucking out of here.
Yeah, yeah.
he was.
No,
he
he
was
left.
very cool afterwards. You know, and
Can I tell you I did something afterwards, and then I obsessed about it for a while? Barry's getting on the. I don't even know if you noticed this, and I hope to God he didn't notice this. And,
Okay.
He's getting on the elevator. And, of course, we talked to him before, you know, he finds out, oh, these guys weird. And I had talked to him before a couple times in the past and had that connection, and not extensively. And it was still a big deal that he came on. But we were talking about something, maybe Chappelle related or something, I don't remember, as he's leaving the studio. And I called him Dave as he got on the elevator. I said something like, yeah, see you, Dave. Something like that. I don't think he heard me, but
That's so
isn't that
embarrassing.
hilarious?
That is incredibly
But then
embarrassing.
I was like, Barry, right.
yeah. Everybody.
I don't think he heard me. I don't think he heard me.
I forgot who the comedian was, and I feel so bad blowing it. But he has a great bit where he goes, "Did you ever do something really embarrassing and then think about it 8 years later?"
Sure.
That's kind of one of those.
Yeah, right.
Where it's
One of
like
those
you
things.
go, like, "Fucking Dave."
I don't think he heard me,
Well, that's the
I mean,
thing. We moved on because
Yeah.
we've, you know.
but I wanted to point it out because it made me. It also sort of made me laugh about. Fuck it. But it was fun. Yeah, I mean,
that
I
was
had a
cool.
blast.
That was cool. It was great to be in a real studio. It inspired the redo of this studio a bit, just because I felt like, hey, man, in for a penny, in for a pound.
Yeah.
And so why not just kind of make it real nice and then try to, you know,
Right.
hopefully we can get other guests here. The thing I like about guests is that there's so much about, you know, all these stories that I find like comics sort of talk about are a bit like horror stories. It's,
Right.
you know, like I feel appropriately so. Comics aren't going to be like, this one time I killed so hard,
Right.
people like, and then this other time I killed. It's always just like, this was the worst thing that happened.
Yeah.
Or this was the horror story that I went through. And this was the thing that I had to overcome to get to the thing. And
It's
I
the war.
feel to make people laugh,
Yeah.
you're going through something like that is so interesting. And having guests would each give like their own little perspective on that.
Yeah, I always equate it to, you know, I don't know if you have these out here or in New York, but we had these things in the Midwest called the VFW. And there were these clubs that basically allowed these guys that had been in the Korean Vietnam War to sort of drink on Sundays. 'Cause you couldn't do that. And they would go in
Nice.
and they were
We're
just
in the
like
war.
talking war stories, man. And everybody sort of made fun of the clubs, you know, but I think it was guys that were like, yeah, you don't know. We get to come in here. This is our space. I murdered 30 people one time, and so did Steve. And we're going to play darts now. And that was what they did. And I always feel like that's what comics do.
Yeah.
We talk about the war stories, man.
Yeah, the hard stuff, because
Yeah.
there is an element of sort of brutality to it,
Sure.
and that was the thing I thought Barry pointed out, which was, I think, in some cases I feel like, that level of competition is a gift and a curse.
Right.
Like Barry, I thought was really into, like, man, you got to go in there and kill them.
Yeah.
You got to kill the comedians. You got to kill the people.
Right.
Everybody must die.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's right.
Yeah.
Because that's what we want. Like when I'm at a show,
Sure.
I want to be like, I'm hurting, stop.
Yeah.
I love to.
Right.
But as the comic, I don't know if you could. Like, I feel internally, I always go like, I'm going to win, I'm going to crush,
Yeah.
I'm going to do great. But it's not in, like, I feel like once you're there, there's so much about giving,
Yeah.
and so much about giving not only to the audience, but giving to the other comics, being gracious. And that comes across where people go, like Johnny Carson said, 90% of it is being likable.
Right.
And so I feel like that element of being likable is super important. So I think when you come across like,
Yeah.
hey, whatever, like the worst is when, that was funny.
Yeah.
Come on, you didn't get, you dumb audience. How could you guys, how do you dummies not get that?
I secretly, though, I'm sure you do too. I don't know that we would voice it out loud.
Sure.
So when somebody asks you straight out, like, do you want to just kill everybody in the room? I'm never going to be like, yeah. Fuck yeah, bruh.
Fuck yeah, bruh.
No, never. Someone's like, no, I want the best for
I
these
want the
people.
best for these people.
But secretly, when I leave, I do want people to be like, you got to have that guy on the show because he
That
crushes.
was the best. That guy was
Because he
the best.
crushes.
I agree.
You know how you go? I always think it's funny after a show. People don't know this, but I'll let you in. When you don't do well, the vibe is different with other comics after the show. You can be nice all day long, but if you didn't do well or they felt you were hack, you can feel it.
Yes.
Whereas you do well after the show, people are like, "Can I get your gram? What's your gram? Let's get on that.
100%.
What's your? What they'll
Yeah.
talk to you. Hey, where
vibe.
you from? And afterwards, if you didn't do well, they'll just let you leave the show.
Good meeting you
quietly.
too.
Yeah.
I
Good
always
meeting you.
love the bit about when you're posting a picture of someone who's on the show with you, who is eating it,
Eating shit.
and you want to
Yeah.
prop them. So, like, what's the words you use? Like, getting us started.
Yeah. Right.
Getting
Yeah.
us started at funny comedian. Yeah. And there was a couple of other ones that were so good.
That's the game.
Like doing their thing, working,
Doing their thing.
hustling. It's like, if somebody goes like, that guy crushed,
Yeah.
that's a sort of, especially for other comics,
Yeah.
you feel like, oh man, that's great, I like a comedian. I don't think everybody's like, I'm just saying that so I can get ahead, because it's like, there's no place to get ahead. We're all mulling in the same whatever.
Right.
But there is an element to seeing, like, there's this guy. I don't want to give away somebody's joke, but I did a show at the Comedy Chateau, which was terrific.
Yeah.
The place was great. Did it in the main room. Awesome vibe. Really, really funny comics.
Good,
a lot of funny comics.
Nice.
Dean Del Rey, name drop.
Yeah.
But this guy did a joke. And I'm not going to do the joke because I don't remember the guy's name. Matthew something.
Yeah.
And it was so funny that I was in the back like, oh my God, that's such a great bit.
Yeah.
And when he came to the green room, like while I was watching the TV, I was like, dude, that was a fantastic bit.
Yeah.
About that. And he was like, thanks, blood.
Nice.
Like, he was too cool for school.
Oh,
It was like
yeah?
Miles Davis, right? And he was just like, yeah, thanks, young blood. And he just sat down. I think he started like rolling a blunt. But like, I was like, dude, I don't care if you don't go, thanks, man. Like you deserved to hear that, because that joke really, of all the shit that people do, that was so funny. And the audience gave it to him, so that was cool.
Awesome.
The worst is also when somebody is like doing good work and the audience is just not giving it to him. We did a show recently at the Baja. The Baja Comedy Lounge, as we like to call it, because they really did change the place up.
Yeah,
it's
it's
a
nice.
nice layout.
Setup.
Yeah, good lighting.
Yeah.
And there was a couple people doing some really good stuff that everybody would just like.
I know.
I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
But what are you gonna do?
Yeah. Yeah, I had a rough time there. But, I totally blame myself.
You got laughs. You got good laughs on
I
stuff
don't
you get
know.
laughs on.
I don't know, man. Yeah, it was tough. And, 12 feet between there and the table, like when you're doing a theater, it's like a moat. That's always so strange that people, I'm always like, you should feel safe. You should be crushing it out there 12 feet out because you're not right on me.
Right.
I don't know why that doesn't work, but that is a fascinating thing.
Space, height, all
Yeah.
matter.
I was going to tell, some people that listen to the podcast that I know that give me feedback that aren't comics, right? We're like, you talk about these rooms, and I don't understand the types of rooms in LA. So I figure we sort of go through them, and you can correct me. You've been here longer, right?
Nice.
But I've noticed that in LA, too, that, there are different types of rooms. And it shapes the way we do our sets, like, So first off, if you're starting out, there are rooms where you pay to get on, right?
Yeah.
One of them is famously Fourth Wall,
yeah,
right?
Fourth Wall.
You're paying $5.
Shout out to Joe at the Fourth Wall,
Yep.
$5.
Yeah, you pay $5 and you get 5 minutes. I think some nights are slower. You get 10 minutes or whatever for $5 or $8. You Venmo the guy. You go in there. It's like 10 comics. It's a little black box theater. Sometimes it's next to a 7-Eleven, and you get in there and it's comics, and they're it's all notes. Guys are, well, not everybody, but you got notes that's on a thing. And some people go to kill in those rooms, which I think is goofy because you're killing in a room full of comics. It's just like, well, what's the worst thing I can say? But that is not necessarily going to work anywhere else.
Right.
For me, anyways.
Right.
And a lot of times you're just grinding it out. Am I hoping to get a grunt out of the back of the room?
That is what I'm
grunts.
saying, though. Like doing a bit. And that's pretty much the standard, by the way. Right. So, like, all of the places that are kind of at that level. And a lot of times you could even do at comedy clubs. Like, there's the Hollywood Comedy on Melrose that is a club that does do hype shows.
Sure.
And you also, during the day, you can go pay $5 and they have, like, whatever. Yeah. But the sort of, like, when you go to these clubs, I think that there's a part of where you want to just like, I need to just say this out loud first.
Yeah.
I think that there are people there. It's like, why are you doing your A material? Like, I've heard you do this set at a show.
Yeah.
And I always was wondering, like, man, what is that?
Yeah.
Why would you do your A stuff in front of us? Like, did you just want to feel good?
Yeah.
Like, I'll give you a hug or whatever.
Yeah.
But I feel it's more that this is my A set, and I haven't done my A set in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, okay. Maybe, yeah.
I haven't done this 5 in like a month.
Yeah, so I'm just going to get
and I just need to
air
feel
it
the
out.
words out of my mouth and see how the timing goes with the things.
Sure.
And I noticed that I would do that because
Yeah.
I wondered about it, and I was just like, oh, I think, the reason I'm doing it is because I have a show coming up, and this 5 minutes, I haven't done this 5 minutes in this order.
Yeah, you blow the cobwebs off and get it up there.
But
see
for
if you
the
can
most
remember
part,
the order.
Yeah, exactly. But for the most part, I think you should be going there to kind of be like, hey, I'm going to try this joke about.
Yeah, that's the gym.
Yeah.
Yes, and see if they groan, see where they're at. And it's a different kind of feedback, too, than you get. So, okay, that's one room. And you mentioned hype shows. So these shows also will sort of, there's a guy in the back sort of runs it. And he'll watch, and he'll pick a guy or something. Oh, that person is good. And then they'll put them on a show. And I think that's how they really probably make their money, selling beer. Friday, Saturday, now Fourth Wall is doing a show at this place or at their other venue. They got a couple venues. Or Hollywood Comedy does that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
everybody's doing it.
That's the business formula.
Yeah. And I think that, would that be considered the bringer? Or is the bringer the next?
I don't know. Yeah. So then the bringer is, which you see in New York, especially where you're flyering.
Right.
The street corner, and you got to bring people in.
Right, but also I think like in LA, there's nobody's standing in a street corner.
No, not here. No, but in New York, it's a big thing.
I know in a lot of places that are colder for some odd reason.
Right.
But yeah, the idea that it's like you invite your friends, you call your friends, the booker goes, "Hey, we need you to bring 5 people."
Yeah.
And in sort of ranking order, that's sort of how it goes, where it's like you would get a show, you would get the 5 minutes that you pay for.
Yeah.
Then you might, through that 5 minutes, get on a show like what I run, where
Right.
it's like I do a show at Baja Comedy Lounge on Wilshire, K-Town, free parking, great drinks, super awesome place. But
Sponsor
every
us.
second and fourth Tuesday, anyway. But that kind of show, that's based on like you're not getting paid,
Right.
but you're also you get to go do 10 minutes.
Yeah.
If you bring 40 people, you just recorded your special.
Yeah.
If you bring nobody, it doesn't matter.
Right.
But hopefully,
may
you
matter
try
to the booker.
It matters to it matters to me because I'm like, I'll book
Yeah.
you more. But like, I feel I don't put pressure on people to bring people.
Right.
I'm like, invite people,
Yeah,
send it
do
out
your
to the
best.
world, get your fans. But
Right.
this like, no dough, no show. Like,
Right.
I don't like that.
Right.
But that is the next tier.
Yes.
The next tier is this, where you
Right.
would go. They'd say, hey, you could perform at the Comedy Club, like I am this Sunday, trying to get people to show up. They're like, you got to bring this many people. And I was like,
Ugh.
but it's with good people, so I'm trying.
Yeah.
But it's like, that idea where it's like you're still needing to, I don't know, that there's an element to it where the pressure of that I think is a little bit like, I got to bring people.
Right. But
Big
then
friends.
there are also clubs, rooms. I would say clubs. Well, let's talk rooms first. So then there are rooms like Accidental Chaos, right? Which will just do shows all week. It's not going to cost you anything. They're probably making all their money on beer and selling weed
Twizzlers,
or whatever is
yeah.
going on. Yeah, and people are just and it's a real cool LA vibe, and there's always like two hosts and they're like, "Brr, brr, 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 brr," lots of like whatever music happening, and you come up and then and it's loud and fun and LA style.
And you might get people there, like actual like fans.
Yeah, you'll get to hear your stuff work with an audience that are really there, right? So that's a fun room. That's a kind of fun. Maybe other comics are there and they're like, he was funny, let's put him on that show. But that's a different kind of show.
Yeah.
Then there are clubs where you go in and a lot of them will do like a new talent night, audition, open mics, and they're trying to staff their bigger shows. So, Dean Del Rey's and those kind of guys are coming up and doing headlining gigs. Then they got 2 or 3 guys underneath them, Tony Rock, whatever. Those guys, will come in and headline, and they want local guys, and then you get called up for that, or you'll get called up to some show on the weekend. So that's a kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Flappers has the unusual bit, which is how you and I met, where it's a bringer show without saying it's a bringer show, and it's a cool system. They do, you audition for your 2 minutes. They put you on a couple of shows. The idea being you're going to bring friends, and one of those shows is a comedy contest that you won twice, and that is legit. You get up into those ranks, and they're hoping you continue to bring friends.
Right.
But it becomes hard to do that. It's hard to win.
I will tell you though, it's like that is a great boost for and motivator to get up and do it, because at that show, people want to laugh.
Yeah.
Like they came to see their friend.
Right.
Or their whomever.
Right.
And so there's a like, no matter what, we got to laugh.
Yeah.
We got to laugh for
Right.
Brenda. We got to laugh for Joey.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
got to do this, shell out for this.
Right.
So if you are funny,
Yeah.
like, oh, this is great. I don't even have to.
Yeah.
I'm laughing for real.
Yeah.
Like, and they're happier, I find.
Right.
Like, I remember that specific show was I do like a bit about butts wiggling because they're so big. Very highbrow comedy.
Sure.
And like people were like falling down.
Yeah.
People didn't know what to do with
Yeah,
themselves.
they loved it.
And I was like, this is the best this joke will ever do. Take a picture. This may be the best this joke
Right.
will ever do. And I think it's just because everybody's like, we want to laugh at all.
Yeah.
We'll laugh at every, we're ready to go.
Right.
So when it's quiet, it's like, oh man, you're really not doing well, because they're ready to. If you just go, they might go, like they'll give you something.
Yeah.
But those are kind of fun because even though you want to bring people so you can win because they'll vote for you.
Yeah.
I won. I brought nobody.
You didn't bring anybody.
It's totally possible.
I didn't bring
to do
anybody
it.
either, and
Yeah.
I didn't win, and I had a good set too.
Yeah, exactly. And you crushed
So,
that
but-
set.
but
and
you-
so like that idea where like you feel like, only people who bring people win, that is not true. Ready to explore the world? Fly with Delta Airlines. Enjoy comfort, reliability, and exceptional service. Book your next adventure today. Delta Airlines. Soar to new heights with Delta.
A time being like, man, before somebody gets Theo Von stage or whatever, when it's just us, it's like TikToking and fucking Instagramming and Snapchatting.
And I like that people get to see it. Like, it's funny. I know Andrew Schultz did this great bit where he talked about not a bit, but like an interview where he said, you know, I had this special, made it myself, produced in an hour, my best stuff, put it out there. Nobody sees it. 12 people see it.
Right.
Then I take that special, break it up into 1 minute to 90-second clips. And people watch those clips like 8 hours worth. Like they would have watched the special 8 times just watching individual clips. And he was like, the breaking up of the clips is the best thing I did. And I think that idea, and I think everybody kind of knows that, but that idea where you give a teaser or you tell people, oh, watch this bit, and then you want to come and watch the rest of it.
Yep.
That's so important to anything, because it's like, I'm not going to do it either. It's like you're going to see this movie without even seeing a trailer. You know what I mean? Like sight unseen.
Right.
You know, and that's why it's tough for comics, because you have this show and you want to get people out there, but like, I've never seen this guy and I got to be there for an hour and a half, 2 hours. So getting your stuff out either in podcast form or in whatever form is a way for people. You can go like, no, it's cool. If you come out, you'll have a good time.
Yeah.
But before that sight unseen, it's like, ugh, I got to watch this. I don't even know these people. I don't even know this thing.
Yeah, I do it all the time with comics where I'm like, I don't like this guy. And then my daughter will be like, you just tell, I'm telling you, you just got to watch. And I'm like, nah, not doing it. And then I'll watch them and I'll be like, they're doing Dane Cook. I'm not into it. Mm-hmm. But every once in a while, she'll hit me with something and I'll be like, yeah, you got me.
Yeah.
I like everything about that person. Then you go down the rabbit hole and I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I find that that's a good place to kind of, it's great when comedians who are seasoned comedians come back and surprise. I think that's the hardest thing.
Right.
Like a new person, sight unseen, you're like, what's this? And then they start doing the thing. You're like, that's really funny.
Yeah.
And then there are people who are like really super hot that I don't get, but are killing it. And I go like, may the youth love them as much as I love the other person.
Blessings, as you say.
Blessings, as I say, blessings.
Blessings.
But to have a comic who, like Ellen just came out with a new special.
Yeah, did you watch it?
I haven't.
Okay.
And I don't know anything about it.
I'm not going to talk about it.
So like we'll get into it at some point. But my sort of trepidation with it isn't, I don't know any of the geopolitical blah.
Yeah.
But my trepidation with it is that I am like, I don't want to see someone who was successful fail again. Like it was so hard for me to watch the Ray Romano special.
Okay.
Because Ray Romano did a special a couple years ago where he goes to 2 different clubs. He does the first half of the show in one club, and then the camera follows him and walks to the second club. And I was like, I like that bit.
Yeah.
So that bit drew me to the special. And someone who is a comic who I really liked is like, that special is really good. You should watch it.
It is good.
And when I saw it, I was like, thank God, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good and so funny.
Yeah.
Has my favorite Ray Romano joke where he goes, the guy is uninteresting. His friend always tells uninteresting stories.
Mm-hmm.
But then one time, Ray's about to leave and he goes, now you got to remember, this was before AIDS. He goes, hey, maybe you got it. I'm going to turn around and listen to this one.
Any joke that starts with that. Yeah.
Great bit.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I don't want to see you fail, Ray.
Yeah,
I like what you did.
You.
I like the show stuff. I don't want you to go out like, I used to be funny and now I'm funny again, right? It's like, no.
But he didn't. He's a pro.
Destroyed. Yeah. Crushed, blew it away. But it's that sort of wall of like, is it going to be okay?
Yeah,
like
don't
Louis
ruin
C.K.
it.
Like,
yeah.
And then Louis just destroys and you're like, it's double rewarding because I thought you were going to, I was afraid and you're doing it.
And I love you more that you did this thing. Because
you did it. Whereas somebody new, fresh, you're just like, oh, hey, a new person.
Yeah.
You know, this is great. I'm excited about that.
Some people have a tough time surpassing their celebrity, I think, and their success in whatever medium they had.
Yeah.
And you're right. You go
and
out
you
and
did
you're
see the Ellen special.
Like, I did watch the Ellen special.
All right. Well, I should watch more specials.
I didn't watch as many of them, and now this is interesting. I guess I didn't watch a lot of stand-up specials. I certainly didn't go to a lot of comedy shows, and I still don't.
Yeah.
Just not interested. I've maybe seen 3 comics in person where I'm like, I'm buying a ticket to see Eddie Izzard. There's nothing like him. Right. I got to see it. Yeah. Also, terrible show. And I love him so much. I would go see Louis. See Louis. And I was forced on my anniversary to go to the Comedy Store and watch a lineup of comics, and I didn't want to go see them. And I think that's where I discovered it live in person. Bill Burr may be the best I've ever seen in a room. Wow. Just me watching somebody live.
Amazing.
And I was most impressed that he did not crush the room because he could have.
Right.
He was testing. stuff. And
Yeah.
I was like, but when he turned it on, I was like, oh, he could just take this room apart if he wanted to.
Yep.
That was so impressive to me. And that was 8 or 9 years ago or something.
Wow.
And now he's, you know, top of the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have been watching more specials now that I'm here doing work and been, you know, I've been in LA for a year back and forth and 5 years since I moved here, or 5 months since I moved here. So
Right.
relatively new.
Right. But yeah, I was here for during pandemic, and that's where I got to see a lot of comedians up close. Like I
Yeah.
saw Taylor Thomason, a very small, you know, room comedy chateau in
Yeah.
the backyard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, I always thought the best bit about it was right before the show, she kind of looked nervous,
Yeah.
and I was like, "You performed, you got 3 Netflix specials. What are you
Yeah.
worried about us?" You
Yeah.
know. And you know, you never know. Just you got to get whatever
Sure.
process you. And she murdered, destroyed.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, you're here with us. You're in this kind of little place, and you know, people pay hundreds of dollars to sit like, you know, hundreds
Sure.
of feet from you, and here we
Yeah.
are like right up close,
Yeah.
you know, front row, whatever. And this little venue, and she was kind of like, and I was like,
Yeah.
wow, that's wild.
That's
I thought you would
nice.
just like come out of your car like, let's go, I'm funny.
Yeah, right,
Like,
right. Maybe
but
she was
no.
testing new stuff
Yeah,
or
maybe
something.
that's the
or,
thing. Everybody was going through the process, but that idea of like, oh, you're like human. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the coolest thing about this situation. My being a comic, being in LA or New York, I'm sure it's similar.
Mm-hmm. Too
But
cold.
that idea, yeah, no, I'll never go back. But you know, you can go out. There's no place like the Comedy Store where you can walk in the back of a club, especially as a comic. And you heard Barry talk about that, the
Yeah.
bar,
Yeah.
and they are right there.
Mm-hmm.
These are celebrities that are as on Netflix more than George Clooney,
Right.
and they are right fucking there.
Yeah.
And there is no security.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some guys around, whatever.
Yeah.
But
No,
like
I
you,
mean, it's right-
you want to
it's-
say, "Hey, I love your podcast." They'd be like, "Thanks, man."
Yeah, you get to talk to them right
That's
there.
right there.
And that's exciting. I think
There's nothing
that
like
live theater experience is super important. That's one of the things about comedy is that there is this, I think, people watch it on Netflix or watch it on Hulu, and there's this idea of like they tell a joke, the people laugh. They tell a joke, the people laugh. There's a
Yeah.
story, whatever. But when it's live and in one of these clubs, you get these little incidents, you get these little moments that you get to really see, oh man, this person's not just funny. I like to see them live funny. It's even like, wow, this is even better because like you're doing stuff that's happening right now.
Yeah.
You're not just like malls are crazy, like you're real,
Yeah.
or you might, but just I think there's an element, especially at the Comedy Store, to get a little bit more of that like live experience.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh man,
Yeah.
we're doing stuff that nobody will ever hear this again, and we're all
Right.
Thank you for listening and watching the Gettin Up podcast. We're on every week, so please like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.